A very warm good afternoon. This is Arunava Chaudhuri. You are live on my YouTube channel, Arunfoot. It is November the 11th, 2025, and it will be another discussion on Indian football and all that is happening in and around Indian football. And not easy at the moment. Therefore, I'd ask the question. It's good that the players have come out with their own plea. Leave your opinions behind on that one, and do watch my latest video that I've titled "People Question Will ISL Happen." So do come forward with that. And therefore, yes. And at the start, as I always like to say, if you're liking the conversations, if you're liking what we're talking about, do leave a like behind, share this video, and if you're not, do subscribe to the channel as well. We stand at the moment at 3,389 subscribers. So thank you very, very much. Hi, Rudro. When it comes to their salaries, players are putting out statements. Where were the statements when we were out of Asian Cup, loss in Afghanistan, drawing Bangladesh at home? It's a valid question you're putting out there, which I can't deny. It is a question, but this is, we've had this situation a few weeks ago when the first time a few players came out and put out statements on this matter, and we saw that we saw that there weren't the reactions that I think that the players expected. I think there's a lack of understanding. There's a lack of understanding of what the problems are in this situation at this moment in time. I think that's also something which I feel which is a problem at the moment. It's going to be interesting. But it is not only just about, again, yes, it is for the players about the livelihood. Let's not forget that. You're talking about the top 25, 30 players who've been part of the Indian national team setup, but we have to talk about the whole ecosystem of all players. The foreigners have come out as well. And it's not just about the players, it's about the coaches, the support staff, the people who organize match days. They're in marketing, they run the clubs, they run the leagues. You're talking about 5,000 plus people. So that's the situation. If the players want to play, then go outside and play if you have the quality. Rudra, it is not easy for an Indian player to go outside and play. Let's be very, very clear about that. I think for an Indian footballer to go outside and play football is at the moment very difficult to nearly impossible. So it's not so easy. No one is waiting for an Indian footballer to come and join. So I think it is very, very difficult for an Indian footballer to go abroad. Interkashi can sue AIFF. Interkashi to sue AIFF and Churchill Brothers hearing tomorrow. Yes, Rudra, they've gone forward, and let's see what happens, right? They've now, so to say, turned the screws around. Noah, Ryan, Aladdin also released statements. Yeah, Raj, it's not just the Indian players, it's the foreigners as well who have been in India. We've seen some of the coaches, some of the people who manage in the clubs who've reposted stuff. So therefore, that's the situation of where we stand. When will Kalyan Chaubey resign? Polash, I don't think he will resign. Right? I think the moment of resignation has been there, I don't know how many times over the last 2 years, I would have said, right? And he's still there. And I think that's part of the problem, that he's actually not moved from his position. Kalyan Chaubey is still there as a president. The Exco hasn't taken any action. Satya is still there. And we've had the Vijay Bali incidents of him resigning, and still nothing has happened. So therefore, for me, I don't know. It's the less I talk about it, the better it is, because it is a problem. Jobs of 5K are on stake. Yes, exactly. more than 5,000 people are directly impacted if the ISL is not played. That's the only outcome we're seeing right now. Yeah, Palash, I agree with you on that it could be one of the key outcomes, but the question is, how can you get him to leave? There needs to be an understanding that I am either I can't do the job or I'm not good enough for the job or whatever the other reasons are. And at the moment, I haven't seen any movements from Kalyan Chaudhuri to say, you know what, I am leaving my position. I am allowing someone new to come in, take over, and run the federation. Ideal scenario. But it hasn't happened so far, and I don't know if it will happen, and therefore we'll have to wait and see. No problem, Supreme Court, Rahul Mehra and Bajaj will give them salaries, says Raj. What happened today in Supreme Court? Nothing. I think they just informed the Supreme Court, and then, yeah, and nothing per se. I've not heard any orders or instructions from the Supreme Court. Again, Rudra asking the same question. I haven't heard anything. These statements will not matter much, even if everything is sorted. League will not happen before February. See, Rudra, the problem is in this case that I've been warning of this situation for over 2 years. I always said again and again, this is something which can happen, which will most probably happen if things are not taken care of. And nobody agreed with me except one or two persons. Everybody else didn't agree with me on the point. They said, no, this will, this will sort itself out. And that situation hasn't arisen. That situation hasn't come, right? And therefore, we are where we are. It is a very it is just, yeah. The 25-26 season is at the moment, losing its time, right? So let's wait and see. Will BCCI help ISL? No, Harsh, why would the BCCI help the ISL, or why would they help the AIFF? I don't see that happening. Shame for Indian football. Almost all foreign players have posted a post about saving Indian football. No, Aman, it's not a shame. The whole situation is a shame. That the foreigners are posting it, I respect and salute the foreign footballers who've been playing in India, that they're posting this, because they're part of our ecosystem, right? So from that perspective, I would say it's good to see that the foreign footballers have done this, and yeah, it's the way it is. Sorry, it's the way it is, and we'll have to wait and see if this letter again. I've posted it here, a statement, a plea. Let's wait and see what happens. Sorry. Hi, Ashish. I'm good. Came in late. No, Ashish started a little earlier, so maybe you joined a few minutes late. So early today. Yes, Roshan, a little early today. Have some other appointments a little later on, and then have a dinner. So I thought I'll still wanted to do a live today given the circumstances, so therefore I popped over and did something earlier, and yeah, let's see. So if this continues, then all the clubs will break their contracts, bring down the inflated market, of course. No, Palash, it will shut it all down. The clubs, if the clubs don't see, and so to me, the problem is you can break a contract and say, on the force majeure clause. But the question is, by that, does it mean that you will reduce the salaries? That's the difficult part, right? So for me, saying that, okay, because this has happened, the salaries are going to go down. I don't see that at the moment, to be very honest. Does the statement help? I don't think so. Rudra, does it help? Does it not help? I think, for certain people, just to put it out there is also very important. given the circumstances at the moment, so therefore for me, it is good that they're putting it out there, because then, again, also certain people who don't watch, who don't cover Indian football might be knowing, okay, listen, there is something which is going wrong in Indian football. But will it have an impact? Difficult to say. I was explaining a Bengali uncle on Twitter that BCCI won't help AIFF, and he reported my account. This is very difficult to try and make a lot of people understand what has been happening, what is happening. And some of you guys are doing a great trying to, it's gonna be interesting, but yeah. I don't know, it's very, very that people don't want to understand what the situation is. That is, to me, the biggest problem at the moment, that people don't want to understand that we are in a existential crisis. This is not just a crisis, this is an existential crisis, right? And this whole thing about why, again, yes, Neetu Sarkar spoke about it. Other people have spoken about it as well. So I know some people have actually gone to the BCCI and asked them, and why would they? A player ages kya hoga? Again, they're part of the ecosystem as well, right? And they will suffer. Some guys on Twitter are saying now these players will not get money and play for national team. Raj, the national team playing, what does it change now, right? We are in a situation where we are out of the World Cup qualifiers. We're out of the Asian Cup qualifiers. The max we have to play next summer is potentially the SAF championships. So, yeah. Sir, add karo. Okay. I think Hiran Bhai, but Hiran Bhai is not there. I think I did late in everything, in every inch of a place. Aditya, yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem. Raj says, Hannibal, bro, leave them. They will never gonna accept. Let them live in La La Land. Me too tired, but had similar experiences like you. Raj, it is sometimes it doesn't make sense, So it's a very, very tricky scenario, I would say, at the moment, right? Where you're not going to find the answers that we're looking for. If Bengali clubs might come forward in letters pressuring AIFF like other club and not now asking you to help, how downward a club can be, man? Where was East Bengal when all clubs came forward? Aditya, again, the letter is one thing. East Bengal club has sent, or not even East Bengal club, but an official of East Bengal club has given that idea of the BCCI, right? And that is Neetu Sarkar. Neetu Sarkar is not East Bengal FC. So, again, is that smart? Is that not smart? No, it makes no sense. But who will give them these exorbitant salaries Bangladeshi clubs want? Palash, let's wait and see what happens. There is, what the danger is? If not tomorrow, but if, let's say, even next year the league restarts, and I've said this, salary cap is a nice idea. How are you going to control it, right? And we'll have to wait and see what happens. At the moment, as I've said, I said this a while back. I said this over a month back. To me, it was a 1% chance of the ISL happening, because this whole process, this tender document, makes no sense. Makes no sense at all. Why is Kalyan still there? Don't you feel shame? What about Zeroda? Your first question answers itself automatically, I think. No, he doesn't feel any shame. He's still there, right? And Zeroda is, as far as I've understood, yeah, there was some interest at the start. They came in, they showed some interest, but they didn't follow up on the interest. So therefore, and again, given the scenario, again, even for a new investor, it makes no sense, right? So therefore, was it a serious level of interest? No, I don't think so. It's being sold by certain people. Again, certain people want to be. This is another problem. Certain people just want to make this story bigger than it most probably was and is. And to my understanding, is there was, there's nothing big to talk about. The influence they had would have put AIFF in pressure, but come on. Now, if ISL closes, they play an I-League, right? Where's the I-League happening? And what is the pressure from the clubs? It's the same thing. The letter from the players is nice to do and good to put it out there. But what is the letters from the ISL teams? What impact has it had? Has it had any impact at all? Has any of these letters or videos or words or tweets had any impact? Right? So these people are doing what they think themselves is right. And sadly, what they think is right is wrong. That's the reality at the moment, right? So therefore, guys, we need to keep cool and hope that something happens. At the moment, in my opinion, it looks very, very tricky, very difficult to sort itself out. At the moment, very difficult. Hi, Utsav. Yesterday, I was looking into viewership stats, surprised by that Pro Kabaddi getting more fan view than football. Ravi Shankar, again, are those numbers right or wrong? I have my doubts. I've always said that. So therefore, I'm very skeptical. With no league, these players might play even worse than earlier. Raj, we saw FC Goa in the Champions League 2. We saw India. Yeah. So in your view, how can we make ISL tender feasible if prize money is borne by F instead? Would it help? No. Utsav, it is not. It's not one point. The whole document is a problem. We spoke about it yesterday, na? What is prize money? Prize money, we're talking about what? In total, 16 to max 20 crores, right? Okay, but those 37.5 is money that AIFF needs to run the rest of the system, right? And the reality is, to make it feasible, be clear on how you're going to run and operate, right? So for me, the question is, how can you organize? Again, structurally, there is a problem. The constitution now is a problem. And yeah, this is where we are. I wish this wouldn't have existed. I would have never said even 1 साल बाद अगर फुटबॉल फिर से स्टार्ट हो भी जाए किसी तरह से, no club will pay them this much. They were only getting it because of the ISL bubble. Palash, there has been a bubble in Indian football for, I don't know, as long as I can remember. I said in the last few days multiple times. And even in the early days, when JCT upped the salaries in 1995, yeah. And Baichung and Ambition were the first ones to get a lakh plus salaries. That was the start of the problem. So the ISL bubble is now a much bigger bubble, but even in the I-League, the salaries are being paid are too high. I even say in the CFL. And the fun one is, you'll say, okay, CFL salaries are too high, but the players are saying, oh, you know what, you're not earning enough, you're doing match fixing. So this reality of things in regard to the standard of football is not there. Because we have still not defined what is professional football, what is semi-professional, what is amateur, right? Amateur is grassroots football. After the Inter-Kashi and Churchill Brothers saga, most of the Twitter have seen the real face of who are corrupt and is being a roadblock. Ranjit Bachaj, Raul Mehra, and few I-League people. And of course the AIFF, Arunava. Can GD Sports show ISL? No, I mean, they can show it, but who's going to pay for it? Who's going to produce it? Who's going to do commentary? There is no simple answer to this. I can smell FIFA ban. Aditya, then you're on your own. This is an internal Indian matter. Except AIFF goes to FIFA But AIFF will not go to FIFA because then they move into the point of that they'll have to remove themselves. I thought Indian football can't go any lower than what is currently. No, it's an existential crisis. It's final nail on the coffin. Stephen, I've warned this. As I say, I repeat myself. I've been warning about that this situation uh, um, could be arising. And we've never taken it seriously that, you know what, guys, we need to move towards a situation where we build something, right? To me, the biggest problem is that we wanted to and we needed to build something. Kolkata Giants have never supported joint movements by clubs. If they did, we could have had a better I-League back in 2007. Polish, they have, no? They were part of the rebellion. Mr. Malia and Samit Thapa wanted to remove President Nasmunshi, I think, in 2002. They were part of the rebellion that Chirag Tassi did in 2012. They were there, but again, did they support it wholeheartedly? That's a different conversation. Now, what you realize is that they think they stand above the rest, and that is part of the problem because they're not. I think Sunil Chetri have very good relations with Kalyan Chowdhury because he refers to him as Kalyan Da, and people are expecting Sunil to speak against Kalyan Chowdhury. Hannibal, I also call him Kalyan, right? What is if he calls him Kalyan Da? He's a senior. What does that mean that he has a relationship? How do you come with that? And Sunil could have, if I look at the statement that is out there, it was Sandesh Jingan yesterday. It was Jayesh Rane yesterday, who I saw as the first people to put out video statements. It was Senor Habas as a coach who put out a statement, right? So, yeah. Kalyan is too naive to understand that he should feel shame, says Hannibal. Good evening, Swastik. Because of AIFF, India's reputation has gone down. Chavi Sahas and now foreign players statement. India's football reputation doesn't exist. Let me tell you this. As being if I want to be or not, the face of Indian football abroad. What respect? What reputation? Right? Sorry. Hold on. We demand things. We want things. We want to be part of it. But what has India contributed to the world of football? Right? If you want to go to that route. So what quality does the AIFF president need? Vignesh, it's not about equality. It's about you need to be able to speak to the people in power. You need to show leadership. You need to bring people together. That's what is needed. Right? Kolkata Giants have always held back this sport instead of spending it out. Instead of being an example, they've always done what they shouldn't have done. Aditya, yeah and no, because Indian football has grown outside of these clubs over the last 15, 20 years also. And then the others also haven't done it. Right? So these clubs have their blame to take, but the rest also. Right? What modification on tender would you suggest? Grassroots prize money, equal representative with no veto power of AIFF be enough? Any other change? Utsav, again, this is not like change three things and the whole thing will work. There are too many things which are a problem. The governing council is. Do you need a governing council? Would be my first question. Right? How do I raise the money needed to run the league? Basic questions, right? Let's see. I-League has become joke, says Raj. I said the word. Thanks. Do we only struggle in nature to running a league? Livangshu, I don't know. I mean, there are other countries who've had problems with their leagues, right? So we're not on our own. But again, so yeah. So we are not on our own, right? We've had problems in Pakistan and other parts of the world, parts of Asia as well. Will Bengal Super League be a success? The Kerala Super League. Is the Super League in Kerala a success? And I'm asking you, I don't want your media stories and social medias and whatever. I want financial numbers. That it. I want to see those once the second season is over, if that's working or not. Because if I look at social media, if I look at the presence of, you would have said after ISL 2, ISL 3, ISL, you've done it, you're a success. You know, so that is not my factor. And Bengal Super League has a lot to do before it can be successful. Man, I wish I wouldn't have entered Indian football. Should have stayed in FC Barcelona. Definitely wouldn't have gone to that 5-2 between Mohun Bagan and Odisha FC. I thought info was something. You should make a dedicated video on it about what changes you would suggest to be feasible. Utsav, as I said, this document to make it feasible doesn't work. It has to be a complete redoing of the tender process. The tender process, as it stands at this moment in time, has, in my opinion, failed. Right? If you ask me that way, it has failed. Period. Second issue is how the issue will be resolved. Shantanu, to me, it is as I tweeted earlier today. I think that's in my opinion, the only way. Because I wrote, for the future of club football in India, the stakeholders need to come together, forget their own interests and egos to do what is right for Indian football. Let the right people take over and do what is needed. Only will this ever happen, right? So I think that to me is the summary or the gist of it. Kalyan Chaudhuri, AIFF, people need to resign. Then we need to, and then rebuild. Right? We need to rebuild from scratch, and so therefore, that's the problem where we stand at this moment in time, and that's the starting point. The Supreme Court needs to take 5 steps back. Supreme Court does not or should not meddle in the affairs of the federation, because they have not helped Indian football. They're destroying Indian football. This situation has been brought on us by the people who took this matter to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court itself. Right? I'm surprised these people in court haven't realized that blunder. Raj, they don't understand football. Do they understand football? Then they wouldn't have done this. Very simple. We are in a situation because the Supreme Court of India has put us in there. So, yeah, that's where we are. Say when fresh elections will happen, then only Kalyan will go or full regime will change, because I think everybody in AIFF is incompetent. Whole AIFF should remember. Siddharth, I think that there would be a major revamp of the AIFF in regard to the leadership of the federation if and when elections happen. The question is, you will not be able to change everybody. Some people will stick around, but if the right people come in, then at least you can run this in a certain way. That is, I think, the most important thing. Who really came up with this idea of plea first? I think the players spoke amongst themselves, and then they then said, let's do this, right? I've seen Arunachal League this season. The quality of the league looks quite good. Okay, the Vangshu. These players will play Cape football. They will get enough money, says Raj. Okay. We know Kalyan is at the helm of AIFF because of political party support. Why not ask help from them and indirect big companies, etc., which support that party? Because Ranit, he's done that. No one's come forward. The Adanis have not come forward, and the party has not helped him as well. Again, this is not a new idea. Is there a problem of match fixing or overage fraud in Germany? No. Overage can't be, because you have to register a born baby within 24 hours. So that doesn't arise, and match fixing at the moment not a topic. Will now players try to go out of India? I'm sure, I don't know. The question is, want to go outside and play, and then they think they should play first division, and then their reality is they should play fourth, fifth, sixth. That's also reality, right? And who's going to give them money? So no one is waiting for our players. Every time they backed out of the movement at the last moment and voiced the support for AIFF officials. Exactly, Palash. Guten Abend, good evening, Rusha. Now we are at our lowest, but a time will come when we'll be at our highest. Well, I hope so. India as a whole, पूरा खराब time चल रहा है, says Rahul. Okay. The league's success is tied to the country's football growth from youth to senior level. A league's purpose is to develop players, but if players aren't putting in effort for the national team, it's a problem. Look at England, despite having a strong squad, depth and talented players, they've struggled in national tournaments. Clubs often prioritize their own interests, instructing players to prioritize club over country, leading to a lack of effort for the national team. The same issue plagues India. Not as long as to give their all for the national team, playing with pride and dignity. More Indian players seem more concerned about England and finishing games, and mentality needs to change. I don't know. I don't. This England example is not doesn't work for me. I think England is not about not trying. I think England has not been good enough, right? Because the Premier League is so good, you think that we are the Premier League, English football is this, English football is that. No, the Premier League is as a league really good. But is it overall as good as you want as you think? I don't think so. So therefore, I have a little bit of a different viewpoint on that matter. So why do we have to set high standards in broadcasting on our players' level of support? Is if for years we go back 2006-7 I League level, at least for broadcasting, it wouldn't hurt. Utsav, if you've reached a certain level, right? And again, DD Sports, then put it on streaming. Before you're gonna go to DD Sports, then go. And again, even if you reduce the standards of broadcasting, then see the marketing of the league is also dependent on the quality of the broadcast. You can't say, listen, I will bring back the ghosts of Novi Kapadia and Noel Dalima and do what they used to do in the late 90s in the NFL on Star Sports. It's not going to work. The times have changed. Times are different. England was in your finals, by the way. Yeah, but Aditya, the perception is that England are chokers and failures, right? So that's something which I think, yeah. Now the club should be concerned employees, not ISF players who earn crores and think about future. I do not have any empathy for these players, the money they got from big fat contracts. Kumar, you know what your problem is? You are generalizing in regard to the players, right? How much are we talking about? We're talking about 10, 15% of the players who are earning really those big contracts, you know? You know, so therefore, your problem is that the whole ecosystem suffers. Now, if a small player makes that statement and says, "Oh, you know, I'm going to make the statement, makes a plea," nobody will bother about it. We are talking about it because the big names of Indian football and the big, you know, otherwise it wouldn't be there. AIFF President needs to have universe bending aura, says Hannibal. It's hard to. 10 years back, I was proud telling my friends here in UK, I'm from India. Currently, forget about football and everything. We have lost our decency, in my opinion. Even I said that to a friend yesterday, and he doesn't want to believe it. I totally agree with you on that point. Commentary costs won't be more than 10 to 20K per match. Do we need Western commentators? So I said, it's not about commentators. It's about your cameras. It's about equipment. It's about your production cost. Yeah, you can walk all of that back, but then don't say anything when you have a Super Cup level of standard, right? Bambolim level of broadcast and commentary. That is what you're going to get, right? The other side is, okay, I'm going to cut down, and then you're going to, you know, they put their money in FD and SBI, they can live on interest for a whole life, buy expensive, continue with same lifestyle, then nobody can save them. Okay? Expensive. Kumar, again, you're talking about a small number of people. It is not every player who's earning in crores. There are a lot of players who are earning in the 10, 12, 15 crore range. Lakh, sorry. Indian football is now entangled in court proceedings which could have been avoided by AIFF administrators. There were issues in the past in football during presidential meetings, nothing like today. Shamatri, no, the problem is that it was taken to the courts now. Prabhu Patel and all were forced to take it to the courts and then they were removed. Right? Has anyone of the board reached out for help as of yet? Reach out to whom? At least not to me. These players should have spoken up earlier. Too late now, since it's affecting their pockets. Now they have chose to speak up. Yeah, Rishabh, that is something that the players will have to live with. That criticism will be there, right? It's good that players have come out, but they could have done much better by playing well for national team qualifying for Asian Cup. Without good national performance in football, scenario will be the same. Listen, it's for playing good. They're playing good for how and what, right? Again, this statement has nothing to do with the quality of the teams. So back in 2000, feasible were I League. I remember HAL shutting down. Were I League clubs club breaking even that time? No. Indian clubs have always lost money. There's never been an Indian club who's come close or has been break even. So that's the reality of things. 10 Sports used to broadcast. Yeah, 10 Sports used to be. It was post Z Sports came in and then it became 10 Sports. What was wrong with Professor Patel? Wasn't he good? Anyway, people wanted him out, you know. So that's the whole point. Can we see more Pierre or say a player in accompanying us? Devanshu, no idea. Ryan Williams has happened to us. Ryan Williams is playing in India. Otherwise, I don't know. Hi, Blue. Welcome back. Players finally woke up, but will it have an impact? I don't think so. No. It's the same as with the club saying something, right? But it's good that it's being said, but I don't think it's going to have the impact that the players are hoping it will have. Are you surprised by England football lack of trophy? No, morally. What do you think the year India will be in World Cup? Karma, I can't see in the future. You know, at the moment, I don't even know if there's going to be Indian football next year. So to talk about the World Cup and us qualifying and playing in a World Cup, we are very, very far from that, sadly. That's the sad reality of things at the moment. So therefore, I'm not going to talk about the World Cup at the moment. Your thoughts on FIFA ASEAN Cup? Rishabh, FIFA is trying to strengthen regional competitions. So from that perspective, good. Sir, you are my fan. You want to meet me? Okay, come on. I don't even know who you are, so sorry. Why FSL never put the salary cap at least a few years ago, regardless of transparency with the clubs? So there was a salary cap. Who says they didn't? At the start, there was a salary cap of 16.5 crores. It was kept in the first few years, and then, reached out to you. No, Swastik, no one has reached out to me. How come Kalyanj was still the AIFF president, even when the Jewish citizens are ashamed, but those aren't for their executive duties? Angry Birds, you have to ask him why he's still there. Where people fail to understand football compared to you, yes, Molly. I'll be that arrogant if people want to say that, or that confident to say it, yes. When will we get any response from Supreme Court of India? Only the Supreme Court knows, Blue. I've given up on that. India will win the World Cup in 5,099, says Angry Birds. And I've seen this. Kalyan Job and Shahjudin now. I think Professor Patel looks like one of the best presidents in AIFF history. Okay, Kumar. Apart from IPL franchise, every sports league face loss. Kabaddi margin is less than less. That's why they are profitable. Otherwise, see Badminton League, Hockey League, and also. Who says that Kabaddi is profitable? So certainly, that's the whole point. Even Kabaddi is not profitable, right? To be honest, Kerala Blasters might be the biggest chokers in ISL, just like South Africa and Cuba, no doubt about their fan base, by the way. Okay. So you're not understanding, we really don't need 5-6 high level of high definition camera. We've got to cut costs from all level to break even. Utsav, you are not understanding that if I want to attract corporate sponsors, if I want people to show an interest in the game, and the Super Cup for me is a very good example in the way it was broadcast. It was not good enough. I will not be able to attract new people to watch it. If I would have had a little bit more camera angles, if I had better commentators, if I had better setup, again, not in the given times, that's the forward, no? Right? What are they doing now? Reaching out to anyone, even if it's there? They're reaching out to anyone and everyone. Nobody wants to speak to them. It's too late. The whole thing is too late. It's gone back. Yeah. Like we're having 100,000 views per match. So there were, right? If you were watching the streams of the AIFF YouTube channel, Indian football YouTube channel, the Blasters match had more than, I was watching it, I think 120,000, right? So we're not talking about small numbers. If I look at the Super Cup live matches, just one second, let me just go back and just go into the AIFF YouTube channel, right? Kerala Blasters against Sporting Club Delhi, 904,000. So 9 lakh views. Rajasthan against Kerala, 1 million views, 10 lakh views. So we're not talking about small numbers. The potential is there, right? Chennai and East Bengal, 546,000 views. East Bengal Dempo, 598,000 views. So we're close to 6 lakhs. Those numbers are not small, right? But again, the quality of the product has to be good. Who cares? These players only want their paychecks, but playing for clubs and when it comes to national team, they will play like school kids. Rock Dwayne. Yeah, there's an issue of quality. Why there's no one football stadium at Atletico? Karma, there are football stadiums. No? The Mumbai Football Arena is there. You've got the Dula Ground in Goa. You've got the Bangalore Football Stadium. You've got the Barasat Stadium. You've got Lamwal in Aizawl. You know, when that conducting the league this year is next to impossible. I said 1%. I've been saying this now for weeks. 1% chance. Right? Women's team squad announced, but opponent not decided what to do. Yeah, Prasanjit, it's not easy to find opponents, right? 2026 में तो दुनिया खत्म है. We have to survive this for just 2 more months. Let's see. Sometimes will matter rather than resource, because when I look Africa, but even South America, they have 100 times more struggle not only football. They excel athletics. Yeah, Murali. Yeah. Right. Why was the cap removed then? Because certain clubs did not follow the salary cap, right? The salary cap was there on paper, but the salary cap was not being followed in the league. That's the problem. That's why the salary cap at some stage was removed. Women's team roadmap, I don't know to whether laugh or cry. Prasanjit, we qualified by fluke. Let's be honest. The senior women's national team qualified by fluke. We did not qualify because we were good. That Thailand game, we were very, very lucky, right? And now we're there, and the AIFF doesn't have budgets. We have to be honest on that front, that everything that we are spending on the women's game is an investment. And if you think that the men's game is not getting you money back, the women's game is getting you even less money back. Reality. If I like it or not, that is the reality. I'm not sure if IPL is profitable as sport. Oh, Stephen, it is profitable. For the franchisees and for the BCCI, it is 100% profitable. What happened in Supreme Court today, Chetan? Nothing much. They presented it and there's nothing, The camera angles from behind the goalpost corners of make a goal. One scores is something so soothing, as it doesn't give us anything near those ones. Okay. You need to invest to get people to scale business. Basically, need a good product, else to break even they can play. CFL, that's not problem. You can take reasonable loss of growth is good. The CFL is not going to give you, even the CFL, you're overspending, right? So your problem is wherever you are, you're spending too much across the Indian pyramid. CFL is to me isn't what? Amateur league? Semi-pro maybe? Give dividend in the end. Yeah, that's difficult. Can this regime be kicked out anytime soon so that new regime comes in and sorts out next season ASAP? Push up. The current regime needs to kick itself out. That's the problem. And the state associations are fighting for themselves, right? The state associations, so they went also to the Supreme Court to say, listen, we don't accept clause 25.3 that you can only have one position either in the AIFF or in a state association, which anyways doesn't make sense, right? So, yeah. Now, why Kolkata Maidan fans think everything they say is right? I see East Bengal FC fanboy fighting against FSDL arguments. He says, let AIFF run the league. I forget. You don't talk just about Calcutta football fans. There's a lot of Indian football fans who don't want to accept, these facts, right? Now to cut costs, there should be draft system for players. Ask them to bear broadcast and production costs. Not happening, Kumar. Because even in the draft, who's going to finalize the figures, right? So, yeah. Problem is we never grew and losses became unsustainable. True. The losses have been unsustainable for a while. The losses were also unsustainable in the I League, right? So they were unsustainable in the NFL, but they've now, are much, much higher than earlier. So let's click on video, not views. Chetan, to me, it's click on videos is per se views because that's the way also that OTT platforms sort of sell you their numbers, right? And television broadcasts as well. So therefore, I go by those numbers. But even if it's click on the videos, 1 million click on a video of a live match is in my opinion quite impressive, because at the end of the day, it's still Indian football. Them meaning clubs. Yeah, Kumar, understood. Men's football destroyed. At least they could have focused on conducting IAAF and good women friendly. At least if the women team performs well, if we would have something to watch. But Sanjeet, the women's game is an expense. Again, if you or I or we like it or not, that's another reality. Women's football around the world is mainly an expense. It is not an income, right? And if conducting the IAAF properly, the AIFF doesn't have money. How are you going to do it? The money that the AIFF was getting from Reliance was actually enabling them to organize I-League, IWL, and all the rest of the shebang. That money's gone, right? I remember Mohan Subhajan was Jamshedpur FC first leg, where Jamshedpur FC defeated Mohammad Subhajan on Jio Hotstar, had 1.8 crore live views. I know it was added up views, but that was insane for Indian football. As I said, Hannibal, the numbers are not bad. So, but those are YouTube views, which is free. There are not paid viewers. What was the number on Hotstar? Utsav, that match was only shown on YouTube. Those matches were not being shown on Hotstar. And again, Indian football fans also don't want to pay. Let's not forget that. When FanCode asks you for 19 or 25 rupees or SSC, and most of them don't want to pay anything, right? What is the difference between landscape and Indian football by 15 bucks and today? Dimanshu, everything was a little easier. It was growing, but so 10 years ago there was hope. It was growing with all its problems. Now it seems to be that it's imploding. Or now in India we complain this and that, but how African as whole continent excel in Olympics with peanut support from them, but still win the medals. Kumar, it's not about the money part. You were not there in the last 2-3 days. We've often discussed the money part. Then, per that logic, the Chinese and the Qataris and the Saudis and whoever has been pumping in a lot of money would be always very successful, right? So it is not just about the money. Happy birthday to Philipp Lahm, one of the goats of German football. Yeah. दुनिया खत्म है इसलिए रिलायंस बिट नहीं कर रहा है. Okay, Utsav. ISL playoffs in general always had great viewership. Yeah, that's true, Blue. The ISL playoffs was always the thing that was the most interesting to the fans, right? So therefore, it is something which at the start I thought, playoffs, why? We don't need it. But, in 2014, I was not a fan of the playoffs. But Today, I will surely say yes. It is. It is something. If we like it or not, it's something very, very important and needs to be part of the system. Dara, what would you have done if you were leaving the AIFF after this mess created by this regime? Angry Birds. First of all, I would try and figure out what I can do with the Supreme Court. That's my first headache, and then looked at how to, yeah, save the system. Right? Some tough calls, some tough decisions, but that's the only way. You know, Africa has a huge doping problem. They have the largest number of athletes testing positive. But still, what is that argument? They're testing. How many Indian athletes have been caught with doping? The percentage in India, I think, is higher than it would be in Africa, and they're still successful. If IFL doesn't happen, we will lose ACL spots. If league happens next year, will the old ranks count? Chetan, these are all questions that the AFF needs to ask the AFC. Those questions haven't been asked. At the moment, I would say, again, if we don't hold the league, how can we send an Indian champion into the system? We only have the Super Cup winner, theoretically, right? So we'll have to wait and see. And then the case of Mohun Bagan will be looked at by the disciplinary committee. Can we survive this ban? Arnav, which ban? What ban? Before there was talks of introducing VR, and I said, well, now we don't even know whether the league will really happen or not. Swastik, there was never talk about introducing VR. You know, that's also one of those nice little stories that people had. Like, oh, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. It was never. Nobody wanted to do it, right? So we have to be honest about that. The salary cap should not be more than 5 to 6 crores for at least this court if it uses footballers. Angry Birds, again, that's the question. At the moment, I think nobody knows an answer to. As an Indian football fan, I always had hope, but I'm on the last leg losing hope, which is sad. Again, Stephen, that's why I always say hope is the last thing that we should have, right? Yeah. Why is FIFA not banning? It's already the third party interference with Supreme Court. Rushabh, with the league matter, it's actually an internal matter of the AIFF. And I've said this now multiple times. The AIFF needs to go to FIFA and say, listen, guys, this is happening to us. Can you intervene? And this AIFF will not go to FIFA for that. Right? This is not in the general functioning of the AIFF, which the Supreme Court is intervening. Therefore, they're not getting involved so far at this stage. What is the solution now? It looks like a dead end. Prashant, there's one which should be started. The resignation of the AIFF body at the moment. That can be only the start. Election. The purview of the Supreme Court? No, I would say it has to be an election overthrown by FIFA. Only way forward. I'm chill about everything. Nothing to feel sad about. I still hope that maybe fate will smile upon us. And maybe before my death, I might be able to experience it. Anyways, let's see. Yeah. I don't understand why some I-League clubs fans are happy with this. What's going on? I said they don't understand that if this doesn't happen, I-League won't happen too. Udita, yeah, you understood it. Most people haven't. It's like, there's a group in East Bengal fans who are saying, oh, good, we'll go back to I-League and this and that, everything. These people don't understand the basics. What did AIFF do with the 50 crore they got? Nixon, run the system. 50 crores might sound a lot, but the AIFF was running, the I-League was running off that money, the IWL was running off that money. All the other leagues, I-League 2, 3, IWL 2, Santosh Trophy, Women's Nationals, Youth Nationals, National Team, all of that was, that money was spent on that. Can't AIFF have a title sponsor create a professional group giving salary which can run the league instead of trying to give entire to someone? Sort of, who's going to take it? Who's going to be a title sponsor and give you the money that is needed? If you need a title sponsor, how much do you need? Hero used to pay 50 crores, right? There's no one who's going to even give you 1 rupee at the moment. These ideas are nice, sort of, but how are you going to implement it? When FSD offered a 14% stake in ISL to AIFF, did they clarify how I will get any money since the whole league is in loss and how they plan to make changes in the league's operations? No. Rushabh, it was just a suggestion and was supposed to be discussed. And it never got to his concentration. But AIFF said, no, keep it like it is and give us 50 crores for the moment. Ideally, maybe in 5 years, you can increase the money. Maybe that was what they wanted. One now the big joke about the contract entire league is monopoly by AIFF what for the company is paying for. That's the question. Will the Central winner go and play in AFC now? No, Prasanji, it's a nice one. Why should AFC be held responsible for something that is not its responsibility? Ask AIFF if it was its duty. Yeah, exactly, Nixon. Between 23 and 24, Indians did highest number of doping as per WADA data, surpassing Russia and China. That's why this is blaming, Africa doesn't have any anti-doping agencies. On the other hand, our athletes can dope in peace, and others always on their case. African runners get banned all the time, even the big names. Turbo, what are you talking about? Again, we don't point the fingers at others when you have a problem at home, right? Sort out your mess at home, and then you can look at others and with their problems and issues. If you want to implement salary cap, you'll have to track financial statements of every single player because third-party payments can be made to easily bypass the cap. Easily that, and secondly, they were, they'll all, players could have a second account in the name of someone else and all that kind of stuff. That won't work. Williams could have gone back to Australia and played A-League there, but he is stuck here. Chetan, I credit Ryan for what he's done. That's a great thing. Great respect from my side. Will FIFA give deadlines they have to conduct elections? No. They've given the deadline is next year in September, right? When are visiting India again for any professional meeting or just a tour? First thing at the moment, nothing planned. Again, I've got certain things that I was working on, but it's India. India takes much longer, so nothing planned. If AIFF was to go to FIFA and ask them to intervene, what can they do? Rushabh, they would then look into the matter and then most probably say, okay, we now step in and would have a word with the Supreme Court, and then it would be interesting to see what happens. Or now the following info, you will tend to hear sad news like a habit, nothing new. No, it's not. See, good news, bad news are part and parcel of life, but this is a mess, right? This is a complete mess. Can we follow MLS model where we divide I-League into zones and winner plays as we can save flight costs? Utsav, you are trying to create a system which a lot of people have thought about multiple times over the years, and none of it has worked. If I'm looking at a smaller league and on a home and away format, the Indian attitude of blaming everything on the other guy is the worst nemesis of any development. Very well said. So therefore, for me, it's sad. It's sad. We are in a mess which we did not need to be, right? So therefore, for me, it's a very difficult scenario, complex scenario, and yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens on that front. The other footballer called Fariña plays for Sao Paulo in Brazil. Reported as Indian paternal grandparents. You may check out his profile. Yeah, I've heard about him. Someone has said this to me. But yeah. Let's go 5K by the end of the year. Thanks, Shwastik. Yeah, reminder, like, share, subscribe, help the channel to grow. I need your support. Otherwise, Arunfoot cannot grow here. I've 20 likes of this video so far. Share it with other people. And of course, also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you're new, want to be part of the conversation, subscribe and then ask your question, queries, points. We're at 3,396. So closing in on the 3,400 marks. Thanks a lot for that. Sunil Chetri should make a video post. Chitam, yeah, you should. You could, right? Has FIFA interviewed before in a similar situation, I guess? Yeah, there have been issues with leagues and countries, but in a different way. Indonesia had a rebel league a few years back when they intervened, but not in, they could, but the AIFF has to ask you. Dada, you should watch some documentaries on doping. The lengths some countries go to cover their track, something the amount of money people spend to run these programs is huge. Turbo, yeah, but again, there are certain realities, and then in today's world, I'm very skeptical about things which I have not done myself. So any update from someone tender is an even longer limbo. PC Game Attack, there's no update today. This tender process, my only hope is somehow that if there's a second tender, so that will finish before the end of the year. But I don't see anyone picking it up. You know, the funniest thing in internet is getting guys calling AIFF still Nexus is the reason why AIFF eventually made bad tender. No tender comes after and E-Vlog will take over. Yeah, Blue, I've heard this a few times, and it's a joke because FSDL walked away in April. I said they've walked away, and then it's again, certain people have certain viewpoints which I don't understand. How can they have that? But they have it, and it's sad. It's sad the way things are, but let's hope that things go in the right direction and things get better. So any updates on Sporting Club Bangalore? Chetan, as far as I know, their case at CAS wasn't listened to, and they stand at the moment relegated. I don't know what the status of Delhi FC is, but Sporting Club Bangalore to me is relegated to the to I League 2. Nice haircut. Thanks, Shriyansh, for that. Over now. Quick reminder, if you haven't, do leave a like behind. And share it with other people. If you haven't, subscribe to the channel. Let's keep on growing this and watch the short videos. I did something on people question, will ISL happen? And quite a few number of videos on the ISL in the last few days. Do watch all of those, and of course also the other videos here on the channel. Goods conspiracy theory, do Blue, says Rushabh. I heard that Khalid Jamil said that there are 3-4 more players in contact with the AIFF. Please tell me what. Aditya, there are multiple players who have been in touch indirectly, directly. But again, the problem is with them if they don't have an Indian passport. So that's it. FSDL managed ISL without any credit. AIFF could not run in the league properly. Due to the Supreme Court ruling, no private body can run a professional league. Yeah, see, that sums it up. Ranji Bharat selling this fake hope that companies will flock to buy TV rights and ISL. Yeah, Kumar. And people falling for it. Yeah. When CAS verdict came for SC Bangalore, Chetan, they didn't listen to the case. The case was dismissed. So therefore, there was no case. There was no hearing. Sorry, there was no hearing of the case. Let's put it this way. So in theory, if second tender also fails, what happens then? What's up? I don't even know if we're going to get to a second tender. That's my question now. I don't know how we're going to get out of this. Very complicated. Very, very complicated. Right? Getting out of this is very difficult, complex, and I don't know how we're going to get out of this. This is I don't know. Bangladesh fans are crazy on 18th November match. Yeah, Aditya, I've been hearing a lot of stuff. I think the stadium is sold out in Dhaka. So therefore, they are going berserk. Some of them are very unhappy that Ryan Williams is part of the Indian squad, but they're not realizing that what kind of a mess we find ourselves in. So let's wait and see. Somehow people nowadays believe any anonymous YouTube channel, X, Facebook account make their entire thinking based on the rabbit hole, no matter how much you will explain who is to be blamed. Yeah. That's the problem, Lou. Add maybe some Instagram reels to it, and then you have your problem. Drink water, says Chetan. Okay. What will happen now? I think everyone should tag the government now and request them intervene. Prasanjit, the government has put us into this. Kalyan Chowp is there because of the government. So, yeah, that's the reality. Now this guy did not open his mouth after no company bid it for tender. Kumar, what is he going to say? I told you always that this is the reality. This is where we are, and nothing's going to happen, right? So therefore, from that perspective, we are there exactly where I thought we would be. I think after seeing the squad, Ryan Williams will also get. But Aditya, he knew who the squad is, who are the potential players. Do we even have a deadline or timeline for ISL Saga? No, no. The problem is, Stephen, that to me, the question is not now, is it about saving the 25-26 season, or is it rather saving Indian football in general? Right? Do you think male and female footballers should change mentality considering taking up responsibility to ecosystem in general? Roshan, it's a big ask, right? Because if I say that I don't want footballers or former footballers to come in and manage a federation or be part of an administration, that to me means that they don't understand how something like this runs. If you would ask all these players, did the ISL run? I think 99% of them wouldn't understand how the system ran and runs. As sad as it might sound. So therefore, these are basic problems that we face. So therefore, yeah, they could take up responsibility. That's why the statement is good, but the statement was put together by someone who's not a footballer. If I read it, to me, it's very, very clear. Right? Should he resign? If you're asking me about Kalyan Chaubey, yes. Why there's no separate court related to sports-related matter in India? Mindset mastery is supposed to happen after the new Sports Governance Act is implemented, National Sports Governance Act. But the problem is who's going to sit as judges or justices in that? The same people who are sitting in the Supreme Court. So do we have any specialists? No. Kerala Blasters, no cup plays, ISL starting. Sinath, it is sad. Yeah, I understand that. If whoever is a Blasters fan will feel that, but yeah. Was FSL willing to work only on stakes to respective parties, or they were just willing to give that fixed amount of 50 crores? Rushabh, there were no negotiations, right? They put a proposal forward saying, listen, we're not going to continue with the old contract of giving you 50 crores. We want a new system, and the AIFF should have made a counter offer. Where was the counter from the AIFF? Right? Someone in the US came up with a drug nicknamed it the clear. It's supposed not to show up in tests. He was arrested at one point of time. He apparently had many other pills as well documented. Okay, true. Tobo, again, again, I always say some of you guys try to make points where you can watch as much as you can in the world, but the facts say something else. So, but again, giving up. Protesting in front of AIFF is just like piping in front of Buffalo. Go and protest. Organize. If any one of you is based in Delhi, go and do a protest. Record a video of it. Even if it's a silent protest, do a silent. I would call on Indian football fans to go to Delhi and do a silent protest in front of Football House. Why not? Yeah? Silent protest and ask for accountability. Can Ryan play so early? Blue, if he's training with the team, I hope that the AIFF has got him all cleared. That there's no trouble coming. Your opinion on some fans that BCCI should invest? It's rubbish, Chetan. Why should BCCI? Listen, cricket is so big in India, right? Because of cricket, Indian football or other sports are in the state they are in, amongst others, right? The sports have to blame themselves, but cricket is so big. Why should the BCCI help? Utterly rubbish. Any update on what's going to happen next? No. Next, Gen Blue, no clarity on what can or what will happen next. One of the why I am angry about the post made on ISL because they did not open their mouth on World Cup qualifiers and World Cup Asian Cup failure. Oh, Kumar, you are expecting something from the players, which again, yeah, it makes no difference. FSL should continue RFDL and Next Gen Cup. Yeah, why would they continue RFDL and Next Gen Cup if they're moving out? What's the use of and FSDL as a body will be disbanded, no? Chetan, FSDL is gone. Opinion Edmund call up, deserve call up or not? Next Gen Blue, Look at the team. It is a mess. The Indian national team is a mess of players who do not deserve to wear that shirt. A lot of players don't deserve to wear that shirt. Edmund has Edmund been even playing regularly for East Bengal in recent past? Right? I wonder if there was any discussion internally within AIFF. It looks like Babu's decided themselves we want someone else. Other FS, they thought they can get money on their terms. Rishabh, on your terms or not your terms, you need to live in reality and realize, right, what works and what doesn't work. And these guys don't seem to have realized that nobody else is going to give you any money, right? So that's the thing. I thought Ryan was waiting for NSC from Australia Football Board. Stephen, he's already training with the Indian team. At least there were pictures yesterday of him with the Indian team training. And let's wait and see what the outcome is. Zinath, can you stop writing Kerala Blasters? Otherwise, you'll have to block you. My Kerala Blasters fan is no cup. I'm a Kerala Marathon 1 cup. Please start. Please. Zinath, not happening at the moment, right? Is there any chance for FSL returning? Not sure. ABCD, not sure at all. They think BCCI will head. They will rather try to make the current state as if in football grows, they will have less share. Yeah, exactly. They're happy, right? Why money mindset most dominant than the sports culture in Indian sports? That's a good question, right? Mindset mastery. Very good question, but I don't know what the answer is. फीफा को भी साफ के लिए एक टूर्नामेंट होस्ट करना चाहिए, just like they announced ASEAN Football League by FIFA. Okay, Aditya. Yeah, it makes no sense. We have former footballers within AIFF. We haven't found any whistleblowers. At least Bachchan called out. One was appointment. Some of these clans might be part of our number. Rishabh, this Babu nexus is not the president and the deputy secretary are calling the shots. Do you think that anybody else is involved in these discussions? There are not discussions happening. What Babu nexus? Yeah. So people want nexus and this and that and everything, and this happened, that happened. Nah. So that's the problem, right? And yeah. That's a problem. So, yeah. Because the situation was ASEAN. Yeah, but Aditya, FIFA is looking at markets, right? And it is, so therefore for me, South Asia, they're not going to touch at the moment. If FIFA was interested in Indian football, they would have done a lot of things for Indian football in regard to intervening, but they're not. Right? Next year and others, I have timed out Zinath for the moment. Why we have so many guys in AIFF, most are sitting there? Yeah, they are blue. That's another problem, right? They're there, but they're there to make up the numbers. Khalid said there would be 4-5 peer players incoming. You have any players in mind? Who could it be? ABCD is speculating again. A list that I created 2 years ago went to Kalyan at the time. So therefore, let's wait and see what happens. Bayern running away with the league, can they challenge for the Champions League? Stephen, if they can keep up the level that they are at the moment, Bayern Munich is one of the best, if not the best team in Europe. Yeah, so I think Bayern is, after that win against PSG last week, one of the best first halves I've seen in football ever. Yeah, they were favourites. Khaled didn't talk about both players. He said he will call those who have Indian passport. Yeah, exactly, but let's see. I see certain players believe football can challenge cricket's popularity. Sweet dreams, sister. Yeah. If ISL or any type of league does not happen this season, can some players go outside and play football in the winter transfer? Share your thoughts. Kalyan, in theory, yes. But who's going to take our players? I asked that counter question because I've done, I think there's no one else who's done more than me trials or tried to organize trials for players here in this part of the world, in Europe. And who's going to take Indian players at the moment? I find that very difficult. Yeah. Rivka Ramji going to Lion City Sailors in Singapore ahead of the AFC Women's Champions League. Roshan, good move. I hope she plays. I mean, if Baichung can come out and call out Manolo's appointment, why can't others, even single ex-bowler, is silent? Although Baichung might have done it for his own agenda, but still, yeah, he did it for his own agenda. And again, Vijay Bali stepped down after this whole, you know, um, um, overage player fiasco. Did anybody else in the XO stand up for Vijay? No, right? I don't go by Khalid's words. I think he sometimes wants to say something but say something wrong, says Blue. Maybe. Liverpool regrets selling Luis Diaz. I surely believe they will be. They will be surely regretting that sale because Luis Diaz, honestly, wasn't 100% sure. I feared he could be another Sadio Mane, but Luis Diaz at Bayern, wow, exceptional, world class. Right, 1 hour, 16 minutes plus. It's slowly coming to an end. If you're liking the conversation, leave a like behind, share it with other people. 25 likes, thanks a lot. And if you're new, if you're liking it, do subscribe to the channel with a 3,397. Sorry, we're closing on the 3,400 mark. And the most honest conversations that you'll get here on Indian football on the net. And what do you think Eversdale could have done better in terms of making the league sustainable rather than teams, which you have said multiple times? Install the right management. I think Eversdale had a leadership problem. And look at the commercial numbers, right? Vignesh says Abdul Bhati will not join national camp. Reported by Marcus Magolao. Okay, yeah, I thought so. I've not heard anything, so that's always the thing. Maybe the AIFF doesn't want to spend the money on the flights. AIFF should have figured out. So we were struggling to get a main sponsor. ABCD, that's the point. Very good point. After season 9, you should have known. Oops. You know what? Heroes pulling out. F is there, or Reliance tried. So therefore, yeah. Marcus is posted something what is not released. Yeah. The entire pyramid of Indian food should be rebuilt. Kumar, in our case scenario, yes, but that's not going to happen, right? You have to pick and choose what you want to change. As you really want to make progress, Kumar, we're quite far off of that at the moment. FSL have enough of Indian players that can't shine on the international stage. What is the use of ISL just ban the AIFF and bring all foreign born players? Yeah, Kimoy Camper, yeah, maybe that's the solution of bringing OCI players, but the Indian government is not going to help you on that. That's another problem. Right, with that, that's only come to an end of this live. Thanks a lot for joining in once more on this day where we have another discussion on, where do we stand in regard to Indian football, given the realities of the ISL happening, not happening, being there a future, being no future. We're in a very difficult scenario, and it looks very, very tough. And Rushabh, I'll take your question last. Why did Hero left? Hero left because they because commercially people will say it did make sense, but again they had also financial problems, and that's why if I like it or not, but and therefore it didn't make sense for them. Right? They supported Indian football in a big way, quite a bit of investment on their sides. Let's see what happens, but we can hope. I think that's the most important thing. So one last time, like, share, and subscribe. Arunfoot here on YouTube. Watch my videos, hype my videos if you can, and keep supporting Indian football, even in these tough times. One important thing, never stop supporting Indian football. Thanks, and bye.